Hey everyone, I'm Ultraviolent4, and this is the beginning of a Let's Play Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup where we will be rocking a Spriggan Conjurer. Oh boy. This will probably be exciting to some of you because I've never done a proper playthrough of a Conjurer before. The last Conjurer I played was a gargoyle who picked up a mace and started smashing face. I don't know, I had fun, but it offends the purists, I know. So this will be more of a quote-unquote true conjurer. Let's have a look at ourselves. We are a Spriggan. So Spriggan is a really fun species. I think it's one of the most unique feeling ones to play. So starting from the top here, we're very small and have problems with some larger weapons. In fact, in the crawl size system, a Spriggan is tiny. It means that we can't wear most types of armors. In fact, all we can wear is robes. So we can wear robes, we can wear dragon armors, and then in auxiliary slots we can only wear hats. So we can't have any gloves, boots, so on. And for shields we can only have a buckler. And then it's going to cost us more experience to use that buckler. But there are some upsides of being tiny. The major one is that you have an innate bonus to your evasion. So we're starting off the game here with 18 immediately on evasion. So we're going to be really small but really hard to hit. Oh, okay. Well, the next point is also about the armors. We have natural see invisible as a Spriggan. I feel like this one, you are a herbivore, should be near the bottom. You need to consume almost no food. What that means in practice is that Spriggans can't eat chunks of meat. So we need to rely on the actual food that we find in the dungeon rather than killing and eating enemies. In practice, that doesn't have a huge effect, I don't think. It matters a little bit because we won't be able to spam high level spells as readily as some other characters might. Unless we get lucky with finding lots of permafood. But I think it's not a huge deal. Certainly, if you're playing a caster Spriggan, it's possible you can starve to death. It happens in rare circumstances, but it's not something you need to be overly concerned about. And then lastly, which is arguably the most important thing about a Spriggan, you cover ground extremely quickly. So they're the fastest player species. They are faster than most monsters in the game. There are some exceptions. Killer bees are the one that you're likely to find the earliest. Also, black mambas in lair are faster than you. But as long as you don't find early killer bees, you're pretty much capable of running away from most monsters you find. So it's very survivable in that sense, as long as you're willing to just bail, basically. Alright, a bit about Conjurer. So, oh right, we don't have books anymore, we just have spells in our spell library. So we have the spells from the Book of Conjurations, I think it's called, which is not not an extremely exciting name for the book, but or inventive maybe. So we've started off with the spell Magic Dart. It's a pure conjuration, and if you have a look at the other spells, everything in here is a conjuration spell, which is perhaps what you'd expect. It's a good background for branching out into other forms of magic, because most attack type of blaster caster spells will have conjurations in it. So even if we think about something like Fireball, it's fire and conjurations. It's also, pure conjurations can't be resisted, so it's also very reliable in that sense. But, there's a plane. I want to give you a word of warning. If you're a newer player who's looking for their first caster win, Conjurer is not really a great background for that. If you're reading older guides or older threads on Reddit or wiki stuff about mages or casters, you find that Conjurer is often a recommended one to begin with. That's not true anymore. So about 2.5 versions ago, there used to be Battlesphere in this spellbook. And that really made this whole book tick. It was the heart and soul of this book, that got removed to make it a little bit more interesting, so that it wasn't just a Battlesphere book, which I understand, but I don't think this is really a noob-friendly book anymore. If you're trying to get your first caster win, I'd recommend you try a Fire Elementalist. I think it's the most straightforward one now. That's probably it. We're going to learn a bit more about this book as we go on. Although I will say that there is a spell here that I'm planning to really make a lot of use of in this run, because it's not one that I've used very much in the past, although I think it's a very interesting spell, and that's Fulminant Prism. The way that works is, well, I'm trying to learn it. I just wanted to show it. It's basically like putting a bomb down that has a 2-turn delay and then it explodes. So in addition to playing a true conjurer, we're going to roleplay somewhat as everybody's, or one of everybody's favorite panlords, and that's Lom Lob Bomb. Oh dear. Alright, another thing that we're doing, it's not a great thing to do, again, if you're looking for some optimal play, which maybe we should do, because we're now going for a 3-game win streak. But I'm choosing my god beforehand. Usually, if you're just looking to win, you want to pick the strongest god that you first find. But I'm saying that we are going to play this character as Qazlal. If you don't know Quaz, he is the violent god of tempests. He gives you a bunch of storm clouds around you, and ultimately the ability to invoke elemental explosions, while making a lot of noise. I think it fits this theme in terms of bomb lobbing and blowing things up, and more than that, I think there's just something funny about the image of this little tiny Spriggan running around wreaking havoc and making ungodly amounts of noise and explosion everywhere. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but to me that's pretty funny. Let's have a look at our skills. So let's have a look at the Spriggan generally. Part of the reason I think that they're really interesting is that they're very specialized. So you have a look around, you see lots of really big numbers. We've got lots of minuses over here. We've got a +4 dodging compared to -3 armor and shields. Their spellcasting is pretty high, and then their spell schools are also all over the place. We've got a -3 on conjurations, which is not great. It's actually surprising to me that the game recommended Conjurer as a Spriggan background, because they're not very good at it. But I digress. A +4 in charms, which is really high. They're good at hexes, not so good at some other things like fire, ice, or air. A really high one, which is equal to the highest aptitude in every species in the whole game, is that they're +5 at stealth. Extremely stealthy. On any normal Spriggan, I'd say that there's some value in training stealth, but on this one, where we're planning to make explosions, we're going to pick up Quaz, who's extremely loud. It might be the first Spriggan I've ever played where I'm not going to train stealth. A new one, but yeah. Conjuration, you can think of it as your main weapon, because it's how you kill things. So we want to focus that. What is going on? I'm pressing Shift G. I also want spellcasting. It's important for a few reasons. It gives us more magic points. It gives us more, a little bit of a better chance to cast things. It gives us more spell levels, but also it lowers our spell hunger for our spells, which is more important as a Spriggan than it would normally be. And then I always like to do at least one defensive skill. Stealth would fall into that a little bit, but we're going to be training dodging. With a +4 dodging aptitude, that's insane. If you're not training dodging on Spriggan, you're also insane. So this is how we're going to train for a little bit. At some point in the future, we will want to do fighting. It gives you more hit points, but I'm not going to do that yet. Let's get our spells going first, and then we can worry about that sort of thing. I think that's pretty much, it's not quite everything. A good thing to do, it's a very nice quality of life thing, is that when you're playing a mage, that is to set up some macros. I should have cleared all the ones from the previous game. I did figure out that you can do that with your RC file, kind of. But anyway, let's just pretend I didn't do that. So all our macros were cleared from the last game. So I hit the tilde key, which is shift, and it's under escape. M for macro, and then our spell magic dart is on A. So we want a macro that does Z. Oh, no, not that one. Sorry. I need to put the key that I wanted for the macro first. And now the actual macro. So ZA to cast magic dart. And because it uses a confirmation on a target, you can use dot or F. I like to use F because then dot, if there's no targeter screen, it actually means wait a turn. So it's not great to use in a macro if you don't know what you're doing. So now every time I hit that key, we're going to fire magic dart without having to press ZA enter all the time. And I guess let's play some crawl. Nice thing here is that we see a dagger, so we can go pick that up. Oh, I missed it. And hang on, wait up a sec. What is this? Why are there all these exclusions happening? All right. So we're streaking. We're going for some optimal play here. I'll put a link in the description, but just recently I've been writing some Lua script that handles optimal trap avoidance behavior for the player. So about a year ago I made a thread about how the most optimal way to play around traps is to remember all this tiles that you have previously stepped on and that monsters have stepped on, because they are safer than completely unknown tiles. So when I first did that, I was manually excluding them, which you can imagine is not in any way it's not viable because it's extremely tedious to manually do it. But with some Lua script to automatically do it for you, it's not so bad. So we're going to try some optimal Spriggan play here. There are two versions. There's a regular version that works like this, where as you walk around, it automatically puts the exclusions down where you've stepped. There's also an inverse version, which was mostly written by Pants McKenzie, but we kind of worked together. It marks all tiles everywhere by default, excludes them, and then as you walk around, it unexcludes them. I find that one a little bit harder to use. It has advantages. For instance, you can still fast travel with that one, but I find it easier conceptually to walk on the red tiles rather than avoid them. I think it's just easier. And yeah, okay. So we can't auto explore when we're doing this. We have to spend the whole game manually traveling. And what we can do, so say we want to be extremely optimal. So all this space here between us and the rat right now could have traps in it, and those traps could kill us. We might be shafted 3 floors, could be teleport trapped right next to a null. So what we can do, rather than shoot the rat, we can start backing up, of course going along our path, and then as the rat is running at us, he is minesweeping this area. So now we've just made a path all the way to the edge of our unknown, and now we can shoot it. Alright, nice. Conjurations to 3 immediately, that's good. Alright. You probably don't need to be that optimal. I can just shoot the rat. I'm not so afraid of traps that we need to play like crazily, but just this bit of mapping out the tiles doesn't hurt us too much. Oh wait, I'm not wielding the dagger. What am I doing? We should be wielding that, of course. If we ever, well, as a Spriggan, if we ever run out of magic points, we can always just run away. But we are very stealthy still. We start off with 3. So there's a chance that we might be getting free stabs on stuff. So we may as well have the dagger out. I'd rather a dagger than a short sword, I think. Some tiles are always guaranteed to be trap free. Stairs are one of those, so I can step on this hatch without ever getting trapped. And I know that, and so we need to stick to our path here. We don't want to get shafted. Alright, good. Alright, so yeah, things in the early game that can kill you as a Spriggan. We reached level 2. Well, let's briefly talk about that. The main thing in the early game is that, well, one, you can die to traps, but we're taking care of that somewhat with this. But the main thing that can kill you is not being careful about where you run. So you're faster than everything you're ever going to see here in the early dungeon. As long as you don't accidentally run yourself into a corner, or you don't run yourself into the unknown where you might get trapped in a hallway between, say, 2 monsters and you can't escape. As long as you don't do that, you're pretty safe. And there are some enemies you need to be especially careful of, ones that can't miss you. So I'm thinking of things like Orc Priests with Smite. Need to be super careful of those. But as long as you do that, Spriggan is very survivable. Spellcasting to 3. Alright, we're level 2, so let's learn Searing Ray. It goes to S. It's kind of a unique spell. I'll show it out to you. Oh no, I stepped into the unknown. Could have killed us right there. So because we don't get to use auto explore when we're doing this, I need to kind of look at the map and just judge more or less when we finish the floor. Alright, I think we should go get these stones. We're a strict player. It allows us to throw stones for free if we want to alert things without costing us 1 mana for magic dart. Okay, yeah, a scroll. Okay, we got a little bit to the right here. Alright, good. But basically, any time that you have a character that's a Spriggan that can do some form of range damage, very difficult to die as long as you pay attention to where you're running. Because you can kite and nothing can hit you ever if you are paying attention. Alright, so I think we've more or less done. Oh, there's a little bit to the left over there, so we'll run over. We sort of got to go around to stay on our path here. The way that I like to conceptualize this is I like to imagine that your character is really famous. Say you're like a movie star Spriggan in Hollywood or something like that, and so people are literally rolling out a red carpet around you. So you're walking on the red carpet. Okay, on to D2. I'm going to test our hatch up. Fortunately, it went to our red path there, so that could have resulted in us being trapped, I suppose. But that's also a slight optimal thing, because that might be on our optimal orb run path. Doors can never be trapped; they're free tiles. And let's see. The next enemy we find, I will demonstrate. Let me get some space first. Alright, let's demonstrate Searing Ray. So it's kind of a multi-turn spell. So we cast it. Actually, let me just come over here and then we'll cast it. Alright, so we cast it. We immediately kill the guy with the first one, but let's pretend that the frilled lizard is still alive. So you see here it says press dot to maintain the ray. We have a ray status over here. If we move or do something else, we'll lose the ray status. But if we press dot, it will cost us another point of magic, and we'll fire the ray again. And as we wait and we fire the ray, it will power up until ultimately this final one here. That final one will actually shoot through enemies. So it's if you have a hallway where you know enemies are going to have to run at you, so because you don't get to retarget it, so I had to move here, reposition ourselves such that the lizard would have to walk in a straight line at us. Whereas if it's something like a bat and you're not in hallway, Searing Ray is not going to work because the bat is just going to blink around and you are not going to hit it. A glowing whip, that's interesting. I think without remove curse, I'm not willing to test this. So for most mages or casters, You wouldn't care too much about just trying that, because you don't need your weapon. If that's a curse -3 plain weapon, or even if it's a whip of distortion, you don't really care because you still got your spells. But we might stab stuff, so having a dagger is kind of valuable for us. We've also got our first set of 2 scrolls, which is likely to be curing or... Oh, sorry. The scroll is likely to be Identify or Remove Curse. And if it's Identify, maybe we can find Curing. So I'm going to read that now. It's Enchant Weapon. Okay. Do I want to gamble and say this is a glowing whip of a lek or something? Probably not. We'll just make a +1 dagger. Yay, new episode. It's GG19. Alright. Also, I was just thinking, so we have a plain robe. We could test these other plain robes that we're finding for fashion, but maybe I should just pick them up, because even though they look plain, those might be curse -2, -3 robes as well. We've got a bunch of other 2 scrolls. We're close to the stairs, so I'm going to go there to read it. In the event that we get teleportation, we can just go back upstairs. Amnesia. I don't want to forget any of these. And finally, there's a teleport, so we go back upstairs. We go again, get thrown on our carpet, so we're not too unhappy. He's asking what the red mark is. He'll find out eventually. We can just drop these amnesia scrolls. No, I'm not, because we don't have fast travel, so it's going to be extremely annoying to come back and get them, so I'm just going to carry them, in fact. Look, there's a stab. Free stab. I should probably have picked up that long blade. We'll head back towards it. So, the most value that you ever get out of Riposte is not a character who's good at long blades, it's actually a character that's not good at long blades. Because when you Riposte, you're getting a swing like you're good with the weapon. It's not a slow swing, it's essentially an instant swing. So yeah, and because our character is extremely evasive, I'm going to, using =I, I'm going to put our dagger on B though, so we can switch between apostrophe. It makes sense, I guess, that we... I don't know. Either's good. But the reason we're walking around with the long blade out is that if things ever try to hit us with our 19 evasion, they're likely to miss. And then, oh, see, there was a shaft. We saw it beforehand, so we didn't get shafted, but yeah. But anyway, we're likely to get free repulse attacks with this much evasion. And it's extremely valuable without any long blades training. Here's Zom. That I wouldn't count that as picking the first strong god you find if you're trying to streak. If you're trying to streak, you don't want to pick Zom at all, in fact. The downside of the long blade is that it doesn't stab as well. So that's why I put our dagger on apostrophe. So then if I hit that, we can switch between stabbing and potentially riposting. Right, it looks like we've more or less done this floor. I think, yeah. I don't see any extra area. Alright, so let's head to the downstairs. There's a pink thing on the map, so at a glance I can see where the downstairs are. Onto D3. Should we try and stab him? No, I don't know why I even bothered. We didn't have the dagger out even. Okay. We are approaching level 3. Here's a new teleportation scroll. So that's the upside of reading your 2s early. Now if we get, I don't know, say we do get teleport trapped and we land in a whole orc pack, we could teleport away. But I mean, you're a Spriggan, you can always run. Anyway, this is our first adder of the game. We are faster than an adder, so we're not too afraid of just dying to it. Also, Magic Dart is really good and really effective against adders because their whole thing is that they're really evasive. We can see if we XV it. It's got 3 points of evasion. They're hard to hit, but Magic Dart as a spell, I haven't mentioned this, but a special quality about it is that it literally never misses. So We're going to hit the adder every time. I don't like the fact that it's near the stair here. So, for instance, we could stair dance this up, but one, it would get to attack us on the turn that we go up the stairs, and then especially looking at this stair, at the placement here, because we're going to be on the stair. Any tile that the adder is on next to us is going to give the adder at least one more turn to hit us as we run. So we run this way, the adder, if it was there, would get to hit us again. So we'd be allowing it 2 turns to poison us if I stair dance it. I think we're better off just going up, excluding that stair. Exclusions law. This will still warn you about the new level, so you don't need to worry about that. But we're better off fighting that when we actually can safely run around or stair dance. Where's another stair? It's up in the top right. So if we weren't playing optimally, we'd just run straight up here, but there might be shafts here. They might shaft us 3 floors, so we're gonna have to run around. Gonna be a bit risky here, risk a little bit of trapping, and on we go. I think Searing Ray is also pretty good against an adder if you have one in a corridor. We reached level 3. Okay, good. So generally, if you're a mage and you're someone who casts spells, you think, I want intelligence. It helps in all my spellcasting things. Helps me with failures. Helps me with spell power. Helps me with spell hunger. All those things are true. But I like raising strength on my low strength mages. So we started off with only 4 strength as a Spriggan. We're extremely low strength. If we want to go to any heavier armor, and I mean any, even just a troll leather armor, we're going to want some strength. And maybe we can find some little artifact or something that will give us a little bit more strength. It's not impossible that your Spriggans might end up in dragon scales. Even the heavier ones, I've had Spriggans in 5 dragon scales, but with just a little bit of strength you can get into acid dragon scales or even swamp dragon scales, which is going to give you more AC. And I'm not a fan of robe casters. I'd rather be tankier. So I'm going to pick strength here. We go up to 5. We can probably just fight this cockroach because we can always run away from it. So did we get riposte there? See, yeah, we killed it. We didn't kill it, but we hit it with a riposte there. The value. I should be waiting on the stair. Let's go back up. Similar situation to the last one with that same adder. I don't want to give him a chance to poison us. We don't have Curing known yet. So, especially with the fact that we're such a low HP race as a Spriggan, and I didn't mention this when I was talking about the species, but we have, I want to say minus 30% HP. It might be in here. Maybe this will tell us. I think so. HP minus 3. So yes, minus 30% HP. So if it's something like poison in the early game or smites from priests, we need to watch out. So until we get curing, I really don't want an adder to be hitting us. We can just run away. There seems like there's an, I don't know, that could be the same adder, but it seems like maybe there are 2 adders running around. So we want to go to the 3rd stair, which is all the way over on the left. Which is a bit of a trek. The price you pay for optimal trap avoidance. Alright. Oh boy. Okay, they're just throwing stones. That's okay. The damage that we took there made me kind of afraid. There's a helmet. We can't wear a helmet as a Spriggan. We can only wear a hat. I need to be careful that the adder was around here. I want to say that's maybe the same adder who's just patrolling both stairs. Alright, well we don't know where he is. A glowing leather armor. Again as a Spriggan, cannot wear that. Oh right, also we reached level 3. I'm really bad at this, remembering to learn spells as we level up. So we want to learn Dazzling Spray. I think as a pure conjuration, in terms of a blaster caster spell, I don't think it's a great one. I think this is more of a hex than it is a conjuration. Because one of the effects that it can have is to dazzle enemies. When they're dazzled, they become blinded. Wait, no, they're different effects. No, I'm sorry, take it back. Dazzling Spray does not dazzle enemies, believe it or not, it blinds them. Dazzle is a separate status. So when an enemy is blinded, they're going to stumble around a little bit and you get extra stabbing bonus. So yeah, good stabbing spell, good for Hexer, not so good on a Conjurer. I think it's rather mana inefficient. But the reason that I want to learn it is because it's a Hex. And we want to be casting Fulminant Prism, which is also a Hex. So it's going to give us a little bit of a head start on training our Hexes. So let's learn that now. It goes to B. I'm going to put it on D, I guess, for dazzling. And then let's turn our Hexes on. So I'm going to focus our Hexes training because as soon as we get to level 4, we want the ability to lob bombs. Alright, still not a double in scrolls. Once we get to D4, we'll start reading them all, because that can be our first temple level. But for the moment, wait. Sorry, for the moment, we only want to read them if they're doubles. Worms are slow. Apparently we're too stealthy for it. Okay, here it's coming. They are a really, really good target for... not save game there, because Searing Ray. I'm so bad with names, I don't know why. Okay, so we hit dot, it's going to be building up, and then we finally kill it. Because it's slowly walking at us with its slow speed, which is going to give us plenty of time to get to the more powerful rays. Hey, we stabbed it with a long blade. Oh, see, we got trapped. We entered teleport trap. Alright, fortunately not a bad one, but yeah. That could have killed us. So, of course, this optimal trap behavior cannot guarantee that you won't be trapped, but at least it should... Oh, we entered another one. So this is worse, and we've landed up next to Natasha. So this is extremely bad. And what have we got? Alright, yep, so we might be dying to traps here. So yeah, my point is, at least with this style of play, you know when you're at risk of being trapped anytime that you're walking into the unknown. So you can always at least be at 100% HP and MP if something like this does happen. Alright, see, we're really fast, so we can just make a run for this hallway. But the thing is, there's a bit of unknown here. If there is something sitting in there and it's D3, we might have an early ogre. So say there's an ogre sitting here. If we're trapped between an ogre and Natasha, we're in a lot of trouble. Okay, we have 2 scrolls of teleport, so maybe that would get us out. So that, I think, makes me want to just run. Well, Natasha hasn't even seen us. Okay, this is good. Alright, well there you go. There's a little bit of stealth paying off. That won't work forever because in the not too distant future, we're going to be making a lot of noise. But for the moment, we get to sneak through. Okay, so we ran out of magic points there, so we couldn't sustain the ray. I feel like we're never going to kill this guy. He's got high HP. We can fight him. He can do 12 damage max. And if he actually connects, then we'll just run away. Alright, so Natasha. Well, I think I want to explore to the left first, so we definitely have runaway pass. I think we still haven't fought that adder either. That would be better to fight too. So we know we're not going to run into the adder if we need to teleport away or even run away. I don't remember, maybe we did kill it. No, well here's one. Maybe it's the same adder. So we can kite him. We're faster than the adder is. Let's go get that perma food. So we're up to 3 rations. Oh, here's a 4th. Alright. So we need to worry about starving. I mean, if you're super worried, you can check the spell hunger that your spells are causing anytime with Shift I. Here. Magic Dart we get for free. No spell hunger at all. We might need to... We'll see. We might need to not spam Fulminant Prism so much immediately. Right at the beginning. We'll see. Stab? Yeah, okay. The long blade stab is not very impressive. Hexes to 1. I haven't set a skill target for either of those conjurations or hexes because I'm not sure at what point it should stop. I don't have a lot of experience with Fulminant Prism. Okay. So it then closed the gap and hit us. So at this point, if we want to be safer, we want to have 2 tile gaps before we hit it. And then we're going to go up here. So what happened there, and something to keep in mind, is that enemies are not going to respect your red carpet. So for us there, we had to sort of do a little bit of a roundabout to get to the stair, whereas the adder just ran straight to it. So factor that in. Because if it's something really dangerous, you might prefer to step on an untested tile than potentially give it the chance to hit you. And in fact, that's actually an optimal way to move if you're trying to escape from something. Let's say you need to get away from something, and being shafted or hitting a teleport trap would actually be preferable to that monster being near you. You will increase your chance of hitting those traps if you walk on untested tiles. So yeah, another small little optimal trap tip there. Let's get this adder. We failed Magic Dart at 4% chance to fail. This one adder has been an absolute nightmare. I feel like we've fought it about 5 times now. We miscast it again. This adder has some sort of anti-magic field. There we go, we got it. We reached level 4. Okay, good. So now we can learn Fulminant Prism. Note that there are 3 levels 4 spells in this book. And I lied, we only have 3 spell levels, so we can't just yet. But in terms of which ones you should learn and when, this probably the general most useful one is Kendarin's Mystic Blast, or IMB for short. It's 4 damage. It is technically a single target spell, but it can explode and do some AoE. And because it's a pure conjuration, it works on everything. This is kind of like your spell that can carry you for a long way, through lair and so on. It's like Fireball in the Fire Elementalist book, but just much less powerful and more annoying. Anyway, so then after that, I'd say Fulminant Prism is the next best. Although we're going to learn that one first because I want to use it. It's an interesting spell. It's an AoE spell. You'll see it fairly soon once we get a 4th spell level. And in fact, once we need our failures down a bit, this is too high. As for Force Lance, I don't learn this spell at all. I think this spell is not really worth the spell levels, and it's extremely mana inefficient. So I didn't mean to memorize it. Let's describe it. Okay, so it fires a shaft of concussive force, thinking if the impact deals damage, it may knock the target back. So its whole thing is that you can get monsters temporarily away from you by knocking them back, and you can play a bit of a knocking back minigame where if you hit them into walls or other monsters, they'll collide and do some extra damage. You might have seen it. Liches can cast Force Lance at you, some other monsters. But in terms of as a spell, because of it has this quote unquote utility of repositioning things, its damage is low. So, I don't know. I'd rather just kill things than reposition them. Like, why knock enemies away from you if it's just gonna take more turns to kill them and more mana? I don't know. Anyway, so it's not a very good spell. This second scroll that we've picked up here, so I know I've been saying we'll read scrolls of 2. Because we're nearly done with D3 and D4 is where our temple can start, I'm willing to just wait a little bit and then maybe it might be magic mapping and it will let us try to find a god. Alright, so that hurts. Natasha, really quite scary. I should have XP'd her first. She has magic dart, which again can't miss. So for someone like us, who's low HP and relying on evasion, really is dangerous. She can summon stuff, she can hex us, she can slow us. Slowing us isn't the end of the world because we're still going to be faster than her, I believe. Alright, and she has 3 lives, so you have to fight her a bunch of times. But we just ran away and reset. I don't want to be fighting her where another magic dart or 2 is going to kill us. So we'll just explore up here. Those trees look interesting. They look like they might be a vault or something. I don't recognize it though, but there might be an altar. Maybe... Ooh, orcs. Okay. Orcs scary. You see one orc, it's a good indication that there are more. And by more, I mean wizards and priests. So when you see one orc like that, and in fact we saw 2, you need to be on high alert. Yep, there's the wizard. Alright, he just has a plain weapon. No, he's got a dagger of speed, I lied, okay. Things that we care about, being confused at 37% chance to confuse us when we don't have curing is really dangerous. As is magic dart for the reasons we spoke about before. They're the main 2 things we care about. His puffs of frost and flame are likely to miss us. His invis doesn't matter much because we have C invis. So yeah, he's got the magic dart. They all have magic darts, so that didn't mean anything. Alright, he hit us with it again. Let's run away. Oh, there's Natasha. Not the best time to meet Natasha. Alright, so our D3 is getting dangerous. Let's pick a new stair. Which stair do I want? Maybe this one? In this corner. Oh, stepped on an untested tile. Oh, okay, we got slowed. It didn't react quickly to Natasha. Alright, we need to run. We need to... Yeah, I don't want to do this while we're slowed, but we've got an ooze between us. We've got a bit of space. This might be a decent time to fire up a searing ray down the hallway here and see if we can kill Natasha like this. No, we didn't. Alright. Oh, what am I doing? I thought that was a gap there. Okay. Alright. Well, this is a time where we're going to risk being trapped to get away from her. I don't want to take another extra magic dart for no reason. Let's also... We're safer off fighting her like this, where we can try to shoot her at range, and then if she hits us, we can step around the corner and break line of sight. She's nearly dead. Come on, alright, we got her. We got her once. That means she's running around again. So we could either go downstairs and just never worry about it again, but it's good experience. Or we can try and find her. Which is not so fun when you're manually exploring like this. Again, the price we pay to be optimal. Yeah, we can just ignore her. Let's go back to the stair. We can't eat her, of course, because we're a herbivore. Which means there's actually not much point in waiting to eat. When you're hungry, you can just eat, but I don't know. It's so ingrained to want to wait that I'm gonna wait. Alright. I certainly don't want to take the Orc Wizard back upstairs when Natasha's up there. I also don't like that it's hasted. So I'm going to sort of try to... Yeah, that's why... Oh, wait. Did we die? No, we're on 4 HP. Alright. Oh boy. Okay. We might be about to get streak ended here. That magic dart really hurt apparently. It's hasted. We don't really have any other option. We have potions that we can blind quaff, but I think our better choice is actually just try to get away and just hope we don't get nailed again. Because we can't dodge it. Alright. Well, any move we make here might be the end. Check our scrolls. Reading teleport doesn't help us much. I think. Just our speed is basically just as good as reading the teleport, where we might get nailed again. And then the 3 to 4 turns, or 3 to 5 turns we have to wait, we also might die. So we're just going to run. Please no magic dart. Let's get around the corner. Break line of sight. Okay, let's run back to the upstairs. Please no shaft game. Please no Natasha game. Alright, we're okay. Okay. Well, that was a bit too close for comfort. So yeah. This is my lesson. Orc wizards, orc priests, very scary for a Spriggan. Yeah. Especially when they haste. We found a ring. We can't put that on yet until we get remove curse. And you know what? I think we might just go downstairs because, well, there might be an altar there. Maybe that's a Quaz altar, but maybe there's a priest in there. I don't know. If it's a priest, we can run away. It's a fed-ass altar. Okay, never mind. Maybe I should have known it's a forest. But this wizard seems to be really scary, so we're just going to go downstairs. We're going to ignore it. Natasha's down here. Okay. Alright, well that indicates that Natasha got shafted. If you remember, there was a shaft on D1. Well, there might have been multiple shafts, but we knew... Oh, sorry, it was... Yeah, no, D2. We knew of one for sure. It was over here. It was somewhere. Maybe she's already been shafted and so it's gone. Anyway, but this tells us that it was a 2-floor shaft. So here's Natasha again. Lucky I didn't run around spending millions of turns trying to find her on D2 because we never would have. I'm gonna go for a Searing Ray. We failed it. Alright, let's just go back up. We'll reset that fight. We'll just go to a new stair. Oh wow, okay. That is a gold dragon scales. We don't have remove curse, so I don't want to put this on because it could be cursed and then we're in trouble. But we can technically wear this. So in order to get over its armor encumbrance, you want roughly 24 strength. Sorry, 23, 24 strength. Which is very unlikely with the Spriggan. Certainly we're unlikely to be able to ever do that and to be casting spells. But this is the classic. You see a Reddit thread like this probably every 2 or 3 days. I'm playing a caster, or I'm playing something that can't wear armor like a draconian, and I just found an early gold dragon scales. Isn't that amazing? A little bit, but yeah, happens a lot. Okay, so we're on D4. We might have the temple, so we should be reading our scrolls. That was a 2. I don't know if that's the exact 2 that I called for waiting for it to be magic mapping, but maybe. So that's cool. 2. Oh, we got temple and 2 altars there. Alright, so this lets us run immediately down to the temple. Yeah, rather than looking at the altars. Alright, of course, we can't auto-explore. I don't think you ever get traps in the temple, so that's not a worry. But all the same. No Quaz. We can look by hitting Control O. Oh wait, there is Quaz. I just didn't see him. Where was he? Oh, he's right there. My bad. Alright, we may as well eat. We're very hungry. Let's pick up Quaz. Kneel at the altar of Qazlal. Violent god of tempests, delights in unleashing the forces of nature against the unsuspecting. We get a bunch of things. I'd say the most iconic thing about him is that you get cloud immunity and then you are surrounded by a storm. As you get higher levels of piety, your storm clouds become more frequent, and they also, the radius increases, so you get a 2-tile radius of clouds rather than just one. Also, as you get more piety, you will become noisier. So yeah, you get some other good abilities. One is a smite targeted explosion. You can turn your clouds into elementals. You get given some passives, so you get a permanent repel missiles, which is nice. You also get resistances from Quaz, including extra AC if physical things hit you. And finally, you get Disaster Era, which is a great name for an ability. It does a massive AoE around you and just destroys everything. So we're going to join that religion. Not your typical Spriggan god, I would say. A noisy Spriggan who's going to attract everything to them rather than being stealthy. But I don't know, I think this will be fun, especially with Fulminant Prism, which we can also learn because we have 4 spell levels. So let's learn that. Not safe yet. It's at red, and it's 50% chance to fail. So we're going to need a bit more training before we actually cast that. But that's ultimately where we're heading with our Lom Lob Bomb cosplay or role playing here. Quaz is an invocations god, which as a Spriggan we've got 0 invocation skill, so that's fairly standard. It's not anything to write home about, but I guess it's also not horrible on the other hand. You want to train invocations on Quaz. Although, I'm going to wait a bit. So let's get Fulminant Prism castable, and then we'll start training Invocation. But basically, once you start training Invo with Quaz, you want to leave it on all game. In fact, he works best with high Invocation species. Technically Hill Orc, although not Hill Orc, because of course, if you're playing Hill Orc, you're playing Beer. But Demon Spawn is another good one with high Invocations. Null technically has the highest invocation skill, but you can't train just Invo, so that's also not a great one, I guess. Anyway, I think we'll leave that one here for now. We had a very close call with that Orc Wizard. So we've got our god now. We're going to start being very noisy. And yeah, should be a lot of fun, especially as we start lobbing bombs. So see you all back in the next one.